In our last episode, we had a conversation about the central theme of this podcast, which would be emotion. And we had this conversation with a resource person who's had experience and who has good knowledge on the subject. What we did this week was to hit the streets and to find out how people incorporated emotional health or considered emotional health in their everyday lives. It was interesting to hear the different definitions and to find that in some instances people had to pause and think about it because they had never really given time or considered the concept of emotional health. Thank you so much for joining us today, and I hope as usual that you stay till the end. My name is Baba Dadzi and you are listening to Hearts and Minds Aloud.
Hello, I am Youssef from College of Business. I'm Dutch and Moroccan. What comes to my mind when I hear about emotional health is, happiness, peace of mind, positive attitude in life, that's what comes to my mind.
Hi, I'm Jamie. I'm from London. I think emotional health is very connected to self-awareness and emotional stability. So I think it starts with how self-aware you are and how you were treated in your home and how responsible you can be for yourself, and if you've ever learned to overcome things, which makes you a lot stronger. And I think emotional health is probably also how you can deal with things yourself rather than having to ask for help, but also being able to ask for help if you feel the need that you can't do it. So I think for me it all comes back to self-awareness.
My name is Ajoa. I'm from Ghana. When we talk about emotional health, it's actually talking about our feelings, the feelings we have towards a particular thing. And is that feeling going to help us in our health? Is it going to be beneficial to our health? That's all what I think about emotional health, sorry.
Welcome, Tamara, and thank you very much for making time to join us today on Hearts and Minds Aloud.
Thank you very much for having me, and I'm deeply honored.
We've heard a number of people tell us what comes to their mind when they hear emotional health or what emotional health means to them. And, it's interesting that these are people from different parts of the world. You do find that there are similarities in the thought pattern. But, putting all of that in context, what would you say, with your professional knowledge, what would you say that emotional health is?
Well, thank you. To me, emotional health is basically having an awareness of one's emotions and being able to express and manage them. Awareness being, what am I feeling? Am I sad? Am I angry? Am I happy? Am I disappointed? What exactly am I feeling? And expressing them in the healthiest way possible. And then also being able to manage those emotions. Also being in control of your thoughts and feelings and behaviors, and coping with life's challenges, basically what is thrown at you, being able to cope. This does not really mean that you would be content with everything that happens to you. You would be always a happy person, but you are aware of various emotions and you are able to deal with them.
Thank you very much, Tamara. I notice and I like that your explanation focuses a lot on awareness and understanding, which I believe is a good starting point for anything that we do. So now we speak of emotional health. We've chosen this term deliberately. In certain environments or situations, the term mental health will be used. Would you rather, or what do you think is a more appropriate term to use, mental health or emotional health? And is it even necessary to make that distinction between the two? Are they even interchangeable anyway? What would you say?
I would say emotional health is one aspect of mental health. Mental health is broader. It's broader in terms of how well one's mind is able to process and understand information and experiences. I feel like mental health, it really consists of psychological health, psychosocial health, and emotional health. They are, however, intertwined Without taking care of one's emotional health, one cannot achieve good mental health.
So what you basically need to know is that they are not separate from each other. They have a bearing on each other, more or less. And it kind of leads me to a question that I heard someone ask. They said, or they were wondering, if I'm suffering emotionally, am I having a mind problem or a brain problem? And I mean, that was a bit hard for me to answer. And I guess at the time I was thinking, why is this important? But I guess it's a question of importance, or maybe an area of curiosity for people. I don't know what you think about that.
You're right. It's quite a tough question to attend to. I think the mind deals with our mental processes and how we perceive things, interpret things, and when these perceptions and processes and interpretations become faulty, it creates changes in the brain, that could lead to us experiencing mental health issues. And as we have seen in earlier discussions, when emotions itself, I would say they are not automatically, I wouldn't say they are automatically brain problems. If they are managed and expressed in a healthy way, then they do not become problems for us. But if they are not managed well, then we can say that it can sometimes cause some chemical imbalances in the brain that could lead to us experiencing some sort of mental health issues.
Social support, happiness, resilience. These were the themes that kept coming up in people's understanding and definition of emotional health. Some people actually alluded to the mind-body connection. Interesting. Now, don't just take it from me. You should listen to them.
Hi, my name is Rajab Ali. I'm from Bangladesh. Emotional health, I think, is very good, important for our health, because emotional can be affect our body. We can get weakness and weak. So that is I think this is the point for me.
Hello, my name is Rana. I'm from Sudan. Emotional awareness to me is being able to control what you feel and caring for others' feelings, maybe. That's it.
Hi, my name is Verena and I'm from Germany. When I hear emotional health, I think both of some personal connections, like some of my friends who suffer from emotional health issues, and I've been a little bit part of that, or they let me be part of that process. But I also think about society as a whole, because I notice that it's becoming a topic and a health issue of ever greater importance in this day and age, and I think a lot about why that is, and the roles that maybe media have, our way to work, our way we structure our days, and the expectations that we raise against each other or within ourselves. So it's a big topic, and I think we should maybe talk a lot more about this with each other.
My name is Ju Young-ho. I'm from South Korea. I think for the emotional health, stay positive, mind always, I think. So that's it. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Hamdi. I'm originally from Somalia. I grew up in London and I'm currently living in the United Arab Emirates. For me, emotional health means contentment in all areas of life and the pursuit of happiness.
I'm Richard from Kwewu, Ghana. What I think emotional health is a condition that affects you both in negative and positive manner, which can make you happy or unhappy or sad.
My name is Hayat. I am half French, half Tunisian. and I've been living in Dubai for 10 years. So emotional health for me is a state of well-being, happiness, as opposed to feel sad, depressed, anxious, unbalanced. And this is where you start to really implement and lead the life that you want, because if you are in a mode of emotional distress, nothing in your life would work out.
Hello, my name is Hashim and I'm from Pakistan. So 2 quick thoughts on physical health versus emotional health. With physical health, it's very visible, and people say it if something is wrong, whereas with the mental health, most of the time it's not immediately visible, hence it goes unnoticed. I think the second thought is how the society perceives it. With physical health, if something goes wrong, people likely to take more care of you, versus I think when you're mentally ill, people almost internalize it to you rather than externalize the blame. So I think overall we need to talk about those issues more and support the people who are going through hard time in our communities.
As we've established, in building and maintaining good emotional health, awareness is everything. So what do you do when you're aware, or you've come to an understanding that your circumstances or your personality, as has been formed over the years, is the reason for the emotional pain or the emotional imbalance that you are going through right now? What do you do then, especially about the personality part, and even about the circumstances, because sometimes it can be hard to just up and change our circumstances. So what do you do when you realize that your personality or the circumstances that you are in at the moment are responsible for your emotional imbalance?
Yes, it can be hard to say, you're getting up and turning 360 just suddenly. It's a job for the professional. I would say it's a job for the seek professional help. This is because along the way there may be some very strong convictions that you have, and those convictions, when they are broken down, can be a very emotional experience for a lot of people, and so if you don't have a professional guiding you through the process of healing, it can be quite traumatic. And so what I would say is that seek professional help. That is very, very important.
I found it interesting that some of our contributors in their comments encouraged more dialogue around issues of emotional health. And so I'm tempted to engage you a little bit. Actually, it's more than a temptation. I'm actually going to engage you right now. If I asked you to share your understanding of what emotional health is, what would you say? And would you be willing to talk about issues regarding your emotional health given the opportunity? Well, that's a question that I'll leave you with until our next episode, when we have Tamara and our very graceful contributors conclude the conversation on emotional health. Join us. You'll be surprised what you learn. My name is Baba Dadzi, and you've been listening to Hearts and Minds Aloud. If you haven't already, subscribe, rate, and like this podcast. We're on Instagram and Facebook as Hearts and Minds Aloud. Thank you for listening. The conversation is getting bigger, so be here next week.